In progress.
Hello and welcome. My name is Myra Nawaz and I am the founder and CEO of Beecome. Firstly, I would like to thank you so much for taking the time to complete this session on high performance teams. I am super excited and delighted to deliver this taster session for you. So by attending this session today on high performance teams, you will gain the skills and strategies needed to build trust, enhance collaboration, and drive consistent results within your team. You will leave with a clear understanding of the key elements that create a high performance team, and you will walk away with actionable strategies to unlock your full potential and the potential of your team. So this session today will give you an insight into the content we deliver at Beecome and within our Leadership Mindset Programme. You can join the Leadership Mindset Programme for 6 months or 12 months. And we also deliver sales programs, and we have a Leaders Learning Hub, which is a continuous leadership development platform designed for leaders to learn, grow, and connect together in a community where it's continuous and convenient to connect with other leaders and continuously learn and develop. So let's begin this session. So I'm just going to share some slides with you. Here we go. So hello and welcome. So just to give you a little bit of an idea and introduction from Beecome, our vision is to nourish minds, empower growth, and create positive futures. And that is a bee flying around the screen, and that's the bee in Beecome. And we truly believe that is and represents the journey of our growth. It's continuous, and we're always learning and we're always growing. And the values of Beecome are based around the acronym growth. So it's all about growth in your personal world as well as your professional world, because we believe that if you're happy in your personal life, you perform better in your professional world. Then resilience in any career that you're in, we all have to be resilient because we all have to face challenges from time to time. So it's about overcoming those challenges and bouncing back. Opportunity, that's about identifying opportunities and going after them. Worthiness, we do a lot about self-belief, attitude, and how you show up. And that's about worthiness. So we do embed that into your content. Transforming is about transforming results, so making sure that you get the best results. And ultimately, happiness. We believe that if you're happier, you perform at your optimum. So that's what the company is based around, and that's our values. And that is what we embody in all of the content that we produce and deliver. So just to give you a little bit of background about me. So my name is Myra Nawaz, and I have worked in senior leadership and director level positions for around 20 years, including 6 as a board director of the Construction Industry Training Board. Most of my life has been spent in construction and manufacturing, but I have worked also in hospitality and communications. And in all of my roles, I have been responsible for leading sales teams, senior leadership teams, marketing teams to deliver growth strategies for companies. I've worked at senior level, board level, director level for most of my career. I also lectured for a couple of years in the CIPD qualification, which is Certificate in Personal Development. So again, that really led me to do what I do now, and I truly love what I do, which is delivering leadership content, sales companies to help individuals and companies to grow. And this is my true passion. So what makes our programs different and our content different is that we do focus on mindset. Mindset is a huge factor in success, both in your personal life and your professional life. And many leadership programs that I've attended over the years don't focus on mindset, they focus solely on strategy. So our programs intertwine both mindset and strategy. And there's a huge amount of research out there which explains that mindset is a huge factor in success. And Stanford and Harvard University, they have done research studies recently, and they have deemed that mindset is as much as 92% to do with your success, and that was Stanford, and Harvard said it's 85% to do with your mindset, success in life and in business. So whatever research study you look at or read, it is evident that mindset is a huge factor in success. So at Beecome More, we believe that success is infectious and growth is infectious. Whenever you invest in you and your growth, it impacts everyone. So when you grow, everyone grows. It will impact not just you, it will impact the people in your home life, but it will also impact your team, your department, and your company. So when you invest in you, everyone benefits. So let's start this session today, and it is on high performance teams. And I'd like to suggest that you are in a quiet place for this session today. We have no distractions, that you can give this your full attention. We all operate in busy environments with notifications, phones, messages, beeping. So if you can turn off your notifications for the next sort of 50 to 60 minutes and try and be in a quiet place, because the more you participate in this lesson, the more you interact with the content, the more you will get from it. And research actually indicates that if you engage with today's lesson, your impact will increase by 25%. So if you aren't in a quiet space, you may want to just pause this video for a second and just take a moment just to turn off your notifications, your emails, your messages, and so you can fully give this lesson your attention. So the first thing we'll start off with today is defining what is a high performance team. So Ford's business describes high performance teamwork as a group of goal-focused individuals with specialized expertise and complementary skills who collaborate, innovate, and produce consistently superior results. The group relentlessly pursues performance excellence through shared goals, shared leadership, collaboration, open communication, clear role expectations, and group operating rules. They have early conflict resolution and a strong sense of accountability and trust among its members. So that sounds great, doesn't it? But it is a lot to remember. And while every team is different, there are common characteristics that high performance teams share. And I believe that we can break these down into the acronym team. I love acronyms because they help us to remember things in an easy way. So the 4 characteristics that I believe we can break high performance teams down into is the T stands for trust, the E stands for expectations, the A is accountability, and the M is motivation, or being motivated. So that's what I believe is the key components of high performance teams. And I'll take you through each one of these elements. So the T is for trust, and trust is an important cultural pillar for any high performance team. And trust really needs to be nurtured to create an environment of safety and a sense of belonging. Employees on high performance teams value each other, and they trust each person to do their job. They respect diversity of thought and experience, and they really recognize that those differences actually make us stronger and make the team stronger. So it's important that we, as leaders, we really nurture a culture of respect and trust within our teams, as this will help with open communication, sharing of ideas, and it also fosters innovation. So I really love Simon Sinek, and here's a video where he explains that trust is an important element in terms of teamwork and how our teams perform. There may be a short...
We all know that trust is important, but what is it really? So I'll give you an example. It's sort of one of my favorite examples of what a trusting team looks like. A bunch of years ago, I was in Vegas for a business trip, and they were very nice to put me up down the street at the Four Seasons. It's a beautiful hotel. The Four Seasons over here happens to have a coffee bar in the lobby. And so one afternoon, I went and bought myself a cup of coffee. And the barista working that day, named Noah, he was charming and funny and engaging, and I stood there for far too long talking to Noah. And as is my nature, I asked Noah, do you like your job? without skipping a beat, Noah said, "I love my job." Now, in my line of work, that's significant. Like is rational, right? I like the people, I like the work, I get paid well, I like my job. Love is emotional. It's a higher order connection. Like, do you love your wife? I like her a lot, right? It's different.
Right.
And Noah said, "I love my job." So for me, I was like, oh, that's a higher order connection. This kid's emotionally connected to his job. So immediately I followed up and said, can you tell me specifically what the Four Seasons is doing that you would even say to me, I love my job? And again, he didn't skip a beat. He said, yeah, throughout the day, managers will walk past me and ask me how I'm doing, ask me if there's anything that I need to do my job better. Not just my manager, any manager. And then he said, I also work at another hotel. He says, and there the managers catch us when we're doing things wrong. He says, there the managers put pressure on us simply to make our numbers and perform. There I like to keep my head below the radar and just get through the day and collect my paycheck. Only at the Four Seasons, he said, do I feel, there's that word again, do I feel I can be myself? What I find so profound about that story is this is the exact same human being in two different companies, in two different leadership environments, and our experience of him will be profoundly different, not because of the person, but because of the place he works. Right? It's not the person very often. And so, when we talk about, oh, you can't get good people these days, I'm like, it's like the only common factor in all my failed relationships is, right? It's like, if there's no good people ever that you can hire, I'm thinking, there's one common factor in all those people who are leaving you.
That might be you.
And Noah's experiences, we have this twisted thoughts about how we get the most out of our people. Like, how am I going to get the most out of my people? Are not a towel that you wring them out, how much you can get out of them. The question is, what kind of environment can I create in which my people can work at their natural best?
So what kind of an environment are you creating that helps your people work at their natural best? I think that's a question that, we should all reflect on in terms of our working environments and our teams and, ensuring that we are providing that environment that helps people to, show up and perform at their optimum. Another couple of questions that you may want to ask yourself is, do you ask your team, how are you doing? Is there anything we need to do to help you do your job better? Again, a couple of really important reflections from that video, which I love, that you can take away and think about after this session. So the E, it stands for expectations. And leaders often receive the behavior that they tolerate from their team. So let me repeat that. Leaders often receive the behavior that they tolerate from their team. So if you expect high performance, and that is clearly communicated to your team, then they will have a clear understanding of what is expected of them. And to do this, it's important that you define the team's roles and responsibilities and you set measurable goals for your team. Because high performance teams, they understand each person's role and they understand how their responsibilities clearly impact the overall results for the business. And whenever teams clearly understand what's expected of them and their roles are defined and responsibilities are defined clearly, this prevents confusion over ownership. And it means that the workflow will keep going and deadlines are organized and it ensures everyone is accountable within the team. High performance teams have clear goals that are closely aligned to the team and organizational objectives. And whenever high performance teams are aligned in their focus and their purpose and their priorities, then they will have a common goal and a common purpose that drives them towards achievement. Whenever their goals are aligned and clearly defined, this means that everyone knows what is expected of them and what they need to do in order to get there. If you have a company strategic plan, this is a great example of ensuring that every department and every team is aligned towards the company's overall goals and objectives. And as leaders, then we are responsible for ensuring that our team goals and everyone's working in unison to achieve the overall company objectives. High performance teams set clear expectations, and these are communicated effectively, so everyone knows how they are connected to achieving their goals. Conflict is normal, but high-performing teams know how to navigate conflict in a healthy way so that it doesn't create obstacles. And as leaders, it's important that we communicate respectively with our colleagues and they communicate respectively with each other. And we provide clear direction and provide constructive feedback to ensure that we're continuously improving our performance. So the A within team stands for accountability. And this means that everyone takes responsibility for their own performance. So each team member is always asking themselves, what else can I be doing to ensure and improve our success? And they don't blame others when things don't work out. So for example, if someone misses a deadline or they mess up or something goes wrong, they take responsibility for it and they learn from it, because it's in these learnings that we actually get the most growth. So here's a great video from Brent Gleeson, and he explains the importance of accountability within high-performing teams. So let's watch this.
In a high-performance team, accountability matters as much as anything else people do on the job, because it means that every single member of the team has made a personal commitment to meet or exceed the goals of the organization. It's not a bullet point on our job description or our resume. It's a mentality embodied by every member of a high-performance team. And in this type of cultural environment, people never stop asking themselves, what else can I be doing to help the team accomplish its mission? To be successful, creating and protecting the right organizational culture is not an option. It's an absolute necessity. I think you guys are doing a pretty good job of that. You know, a team culture is either decisively created and nurtured over time, or more typically it comes about a bit haphazardly over time through the beliefs, actions, experiences of those on the team. But either way, accountability has to be real. If I drop the ball, make a mistake, fail to meet my goals, or fail to support a team member, it's not about saying, oh, my bad, that's on me, I'll do better next time, and then I never change my behavior. It's about checking myself every step of the way to ensure I'm doing everything in my power to help the team accomplish its mission. Every case study I've ever seen on this subject points to the same thing. A culture of accountability has a direct correlation to the bottom line. Nothing else matters without it. Poring over financial data does not. Improving systems and processes does not. Technology, even sales. Because if people don't care enough, or they're not holding themselves and others accountable to accomplish the mission, then execution is going to falter anyway. And creating a great organizational culture first has to start with alignment. And that's achieved through participation. A culture of accountability has to start with alignment from the people at the very top and the leaders throughout the entire organization. Defining the decision makers. When it comes to creating a great culture, a leader-led model is best, and I'm talking about leaders at all levels. Listening to feedback. Well, it might be the leaders owning the actual framework of creating that culture. It's imperative we get feedback from the team to ensure we make the best possible decisions. The team's voice must be heard. Extreme ownership. The leaders set the tone, but we all have to take ownership over the decisions made and directives given. Consistency. It takes a consistent and deliberate effort to create and maintain a great organizational culture. And follow through. This, of course, is the most important of all, because without it, nobody's really going to believe in the mission. And the more time we spend holding ourselves accountable to meeting our goals, exceeding our goals, doing our jobs, and even more importantly, supporting our fellow team members, the less time we spend chasing each other around, pointing fingers, and holding one another accountable. And that increases speed, efficiency, and morale.
So a great video there from Grant Gleeson, and a few questions that I want you to ponder on are these. What else can I be doing to help my team achieve our objectives? Are you checking yourself for alignment, ownership, and consistency with your team? And are you holding yourself accountable? So I'd like you to take a few moments and answer these questions and write down any ideas which come to mind. You can pause the video here and just take a couple of moments to answer those questions, because the answers to those questions will unveil some actions that you will want to take beyond this session today. And, you know, whenever Brent was talking in that video about accountability, he talked about it being a mentality, and it's something that, you know, is a mentality. He also talked about how the importance of accountability has a direct correlation to the bottom line. So it is hugely important that we ourselves take accountability as leaders within an organization, but also our teams understand the importance of being accountable to doing what's needed to be done within their role. So I will ask you just to pause the video here and make a few notes on those questions. Okay, so the M is for motivated, and high performance teams understand how their work fits into the organizational vision and are motivated to add value every day. They understand their why, and they are motivated to work together in momentum to support a shared vision. Purpose is so important in an organization, and it's important that organizations have a purpose that everyone buys into and they understand. They know the why of what they're doing and how that impacts the clients and customers of the company. And whenever you have a team that is aligned with the organizational goals and the vision, that really helps to drive growth. So high performance teams understand that the success and the results that they have impacts the organizational success and the clients and customers that are working and are impacted through the company. And high performance teams, they celebrate and they recognize wins together. They appreciate each other's contributions, and this really builds a strong culture of collaboration where everyone feels valued, connected, and motivated. It's important as leaders in your one-to-one meetings that we talk to our team members about how they are impacting the overall performance of the organisation, that they understand the positive contributions that they are making. There's lots of different ways that you can do this. If any of you use Teams, they have a simple appreciation function where you can, send a team member individual appreciation messages, or you can send it to your entire group. And I would encourage you to start to think about how you can show appreciation to individuals and teams within your company. So here is a short video, which I'm going to share with you now, and it explains how to keep your team motivated. And it's from Kellogg Company. So they actually have come up with 4 different ways, simple techniques that help to keep your team motivated.
Is your team slacking? That's the question we've asked over 1,200 leaders and managers for the past 17 years. When people on your team are not contributing, they're not pulling their weight, literally. In a very first demonstration of this, people were pulling a rope. On average, people were able to pull 63 kilos of force per person. You put those people into teams of 3, it goes down to 53 kilos per person. You put them in teams of 8, now we're down at 31 kilos per person. This social loafing effect has also been replicated in intellectual challenges, creativity tasks, complex reasoning, and it occurs across cultures: India, Japan, Taiwan, in addition to the US. I had an opportunity to work with the senior vice president at the Bulkmatic Transport Company. Brian's safety team at Bulkmatic was tasked with a really important project: how to install 500 smart drive cameras in their tractors and produce coaching clips and instill driver acceptance. The team had been working for several months, but there hadn't been any progress. The team wasn't engaged. Drivers were quitting. Team members were not showing up to meetings, and when they did show up, they came 60 to 90 minutes late. They hadn't produced a single coaching clip. The phone calls were wandering off in different directions. So Brian and I put our heads together and worked up a 4-pronged intervention plan to increase engagement. Step 1, develop a team contract. A team contract is a 1-page, preferably half a page, mission statement of the team focusing on 3 things: the goal, the responsibilities, and the norms. Everybody signs, everybody commits. Brian called me the first day after he introduced the contract to his team. He said this was the most productive meeting the team had ever had, and it surprised him how much a simple tool could increase the engagement of the team. Step 2, short, frequent meetings as opposed to long, drawn-out meetings. The research is in. Teams work to fill their time. Brian's safety team noticed that the longer the distance was between the meetings, the more the team started to drift off track. So Brian started hosting more frequent, shorter meetings. And at each one of these meetings, they revisited the team contract. Step 3, stand and deliver. Literally, every week, team members need to stand up and report out to the team what they've accomplished that week. Case in point, Google Ventures weekly Tuesday meetings. Everybody stands up and reports out what they've accomplished. The research is in. Teams that stand up are 34% more productive than teams that sit down. Step 4, create a line of sight. When team members can see how they're having an impact on the end goal, they're much more engaged. Let me give you an example. This was looking at engagement in a fundraising organization. 3 groups. One team had direct contact with the beneficiary, another group read a letter from a beneficiary, and one group had no contact at all with the beneficiary. 1 month later, the group who'd had direct contact with the beneficiary raised 171% more money. So what happened at Bulkmatic? The safety team successfully installed 500 smart drive cameras on schedule. Prior to the intervention, they had only installed 60 after several months. And at-risk driver behaviors cut to only 5%, down from high double digits. The team contract was a game changer for Bulkmatic, and it can be a game changer for your team as well.
So there is 4 key actions that is suggested to ensure that you have a high performance teams. And these 4 are, first of all, to develop a team contract. So this ensures that everyone knows what's expected of them, that they know their goals, their responsibilities, and their norms. So it leads back to earlier whenever we were talking about having those clear roles and responsibilities. Number 2 is to have short, frequent meetings, and this is great and correlates with clear communication, so that everyone understands how they are contributing and how the project is going. Number 3 is stamp and deliver. So again, that's about accountability and about action. What people are accomplishing and the action that they're taking towards the goal. And then 4 is that clear line of sight. So again, that's a real motivational impact as it will show people how they are actually impacting on the end goal. So I just thought that video was great because it gives 4 clear actions and ways to have a high performance team, especially if you're working on a specific project. Those are 4 ways that you can take away today and implement into that project to ensure that you're getting the results that you want to achieve. So that is the 4 elements of high performance teams. High performance teams really pursue excellence through trust, clear expectation, a strong sense of accountability, and they're motivated by the positive contribution that they make to the achievement of the organizational goals. However, I do believe that there's one further key component of a high performance team. And that is attitude. I don't believe that you can have a high performance teams without the attitude of high performance. When you've got attitude and you add this into the mix of team, this really does give you, and I'm going to play a tune for you, and some of you may recognize this tune. It depends maybe what age you are. If you're sort of around my age, then you certainly will remember this tune. So let me play this for you, and hopefully this will make you smile. Yes, so many of you may have recognized that as the A team. And whenever you add A into the mix and you know, an attitude into all of the other core components of a high performance team, then you really do get the A team, because a high performance is really an attitude. And it all comes down to mindset and what you believe. So if you believe that you are going to be a high performer, then you will be. And if you install the mindset of high performance within your team, then your team will perform at this level. So whenever in previous roles, whenever I was managing multiple teams, one of the first things I would do would be talk to the teams about high performance. And I would ask them what they understood by high performance. And I would, you know, use this diagram to explain what high performance is and how we would strive together to be a high performing team. And this diagram, I believe, is a really simple way to communicate positively and a constructive way what it is to be high performance. So I would explain that we would work in a positive and constructive way to achieve great results. I explained that we would communicate in an open and trusting way. We would provide constructive feedback, and we would make effective decisions. We would support each other in the team, and we would contribute to projects and strive to produce fantastic results. We would engage, have shared values, and we would work as a team to be high performing. And we would ultimately operate as the A team. So just to give you an example of what this means, a practical example of what this means. So, for example, one of the teams I was working on or working with, they were a marketing team, and we would develop a team vision. And over the years, the vision changed slightly, but it had a dramatic impact on how that team performed. So whenever we got together as a team and, you know, the team were, you know, had some actions to take and different things that we needed to implement to ensure that we were going to be high performing, we then put in a number of ways in which we could do that. So our team vision was to become a high performing team and deliver successful marketing campaigns to increase brand awareness that would support sales. And whenever we started to work towards this, that gave us something to believe in and something to strive for. And whenever the team had shifted in terms of their performance, we would change then the team vision. And this changed over the years to be a high performing team, to deliver successful marketing campaigns and drive brand awareness to support sales. And over the years then, when we got, you know, working better together and we were working at a high level, we then changed the team vision collectively as a group to continue to be a high performing team, to deliver successful marketing campaigns, to increase brand awareness and support sales. So this shows you that by changing just one word within the vision and the team goal and the team, you know, outputs, that had a massive impact on how the team performed, because the team started to see themselves as high performing, and they knew what standard of work was expected of them, and they inherently wanted to produce that high quality work. They wanted to be the best in the industry, and they constantly wanted to improve and impress. So just changing one word or a couple of words within your team vision can have a dramatic outcome. We went from to become, to be, to continue to be. And that had a massive impact on how that team performed and how others actually seen that team. And the key to high performance is consistent improvement and continuous improvement, because it's not a constant. You're constantly striving to improve, and you're always looking for ways to get better. So there's a number of questions that I'm going to ask you. So take your workbook and take a blank sheet of paper, and I'm going to ask you a number of questions. And I want you to just think about where you are in terms of these questions. And these questions will help you identify areas where you're really strong in terms of high performance within your teams. And it will also help you identify areas where your team could improve. So as I read these, I want you to sort of think about, yes, this is an area which we're really good at, or else maybe you can tick no. And I want you just to write a few comments beside each of these questions. And this is something that you may want to reflect on after this session, and look at, certain areas where you want to take action to improve in terms of the performance of your team. So I'll just let you all get a pen and piece of paper and a blank sheet. So these are the questions. So the first question is each person in your team clear of their job role and what is expected of them? So you can write yes, very clear, or no, and maybe write a few comments. This is something I need to address. The second question is each person clear on how they add value in your team? So does every person in your team know how they're adding value and contributing to the overall objectives of your team, your department, or the overall company? Does each person do all the aspects of their job, or are there elements that they don't do or avoid doing? So again, there'll be certain aspects of your role that you will love to do and no problem, but there'll be other elements that maybe, you find that you have a little bit of a blockage towards, or you don't enjoy as much. So, you can look at yourself, but also look at your team members. Are there certain members of the team who are not doing all of the elements of the role that is expected of them? And, you may want to write a few notes against that and, maybe address that with the individual team members. The next question, does each person in the team manage their emotional responses effectively, or do some team members overreact when something doesn't go right for them? Again, you may want to look at yourself, but look at the team and think about the team. So you can write yes, no, and then make a few comments against that question. You may want to pause in between each of these questions and spend some time reflecting on each of these in a bit more depth. So is each person in the team aware of both their strengths and their weaknesses and how these can be supported by others in the team or the company? Just bear with me one second. The next question, does each person in the team take overall responsibility and proactively deal with issues rather than blame others or avoid responsibility? So does each person in your team take accountability when something doesn't quite go right? Or do they look for blame from others? That may be others in the team, it may be clients, it may be stakeholders, it may be suppliers. So yeah, think about that question. Tick yes, no, and then you may want to just make some comments around that. The next question, is there meaningful and powerful shared purpose and common goals for the team? Does the team work effectively with other teams, departments, customers, and stakeholders to meet agreed expectations? So have a think about that. Does your team work effectively with other teams within the company? Maybe they work well with some teams, but not with others. How do they deal with your customers, your stakeholders? And do they always meet the agreed expectations that is expected from them? The next question, does everyone in the team display the company values? So that's a very important question. I'm sure you all have company values. I went over the Become More values at the start of this call today, and it's very important that your team members do display the company values, because that gives you integrity as a company and a business. And does everyone know the company values? Is this something that's clearly, you know, displayed or talked about within your company? So the next question, is there a high level of trust and openness that allows people to share openly without judgment? So do you, you know, talk about things that haven't went right in your team meetings? Do you, you know, reinforce the fact that you want people to come forward with situations that haven't went right, just so you can learn from them and then it isn't repeated? So think about that. The next question, is there a high level of rigorous debate and task conflict resulting in better decisions? So do you have people on your team that challenge you? Or do you have a team in which everyone agrees with what you say? Because what you really want is for people to actually challenge you and challenge others in a constructive way in a team environment, so that better ideas and everyone's opinions are freely heard, so that collectively you can go forward as one unit with everyone in agreement and everyone feels that they have been heard, that their point of view is valued and has been taken on board, and then everyone has the opportunity to contribute. So is conflict identified early and dealt with quickly in your team in a constructive manner, so that it doesn't linger or cause future issues or problems? So how do you deal with conflict in your team? So think about that and make a few comments if that's something that you need to think about. Only 2 more questions. So the next question is your team motivated to do their job? So do you have a motivated team? And do you have some people in your team who are more motivated than others? And just think about that. So, you know, you can quickly jot a yes or a no, and maybe make a few comments then that you may want to look at in terms of your team and how they're motivated. And the final question, would you describe your team as high performing? Would you say that your team is a high performance team? So what comes to mind? Is it yes straight away, or is it we have work to do? So again, think about that and then make a few comments. So I hope you find those questions really useful. I think they're a really great indicator in terms of where you are with your team and how your team is in terms of its performance. Again, it will highlight some areas where you're really good, where you're excellent, but it will also maybe highlight some areas where you have work to do. Because we're all continuously improving, and even high performance teams, that's one of the core elements, is that they're always looking for ways to improve and get better. So how do you encourage your team to talk about mistakes and ensure everyone is continually improving? That's something to take away again from today. So ultimately, whenever you are a high performance team, it really becomes part of your DNA. It is who you are, how we work, and what we expect. And whenever your team understands that they are a high performing team, then they will want to operate in that way. So don't miss the opportunity of communicating to your team and reinforcing high performance. Reinforce that that is who you are, how you work, and what you expect. Because people ultimately like working in high performance teams and high performance companies who are progressive and are growing. And whenever you have a team who is performing at its optimum, that team builds a really powerful image. And whenever you have a high-performing team, that team cannot be beaten because they're not competing. They're actually creating. And when teams work together in the same direction, they create momentum. And this really creates power. And this is referred to as compound power. And no competitor will be able to compete with a company and a team of high-performing teams within that business who are working together seamlessly to provide to deliver the company objectives. So we're going to finish with another video from Simon Sinek, and he talks about what makes the highest performing teams in the world. Apologies, there's an advert. So just bear with me for 1 second while we can try and...
The Navy SEALs are one of the highest performing organizations on the planet. And a former Navy SEAL was asked, who makes it through BUDS? Who makes it through the selection process to become a SEAL? And he said, I can't tell you who gets through, who makes it, but I can tell you the kind of people who don't make it. He said the star college athletes that never have been really tested to the core of their being, none of them make it through. He said the preening leaders who like to delegate everything, none of them make it through. He said the big tough guys that come in with huge muscles, covered in tattoos, who want to prove to everyone how tough they are, none of them make it through. He said some of the guys that make it through are skinny and scrawny. He said some of the guys who make it through, you will see them shivering out of fear. He said, but every single one of them who makes it through, when they're emotionally exhausted, when they're physically exhausted, some way, somehow, they're able to dig down deep inside themselves to find the energy to help the person next to them. Service, giving to another, having their back, is what makes the highest performing teams in the world. Not their strength and not their intelligence. It's their willingness to be there for each other.
Okay, so as Simon Sinek said, what makes the highest performing teams in the world is service and the willingness to be there for each other. So in summary, whenever you create a high performance team, an A team, this is built on the attitude of high performance. It's built on trust. It's whenever expectations are clear, everyone is accountable, and whenever everyone is motivated to perform at their optimum. So in every single lesson that I do with my leadership programs, I always give everyone 2 actions to take away to implement immediately. So I'll leave you with 2 actions for today that you can take away and implement. So in your next team meeting, talk about high performance. Talk about what it means to the team. Ask them what they think high performance is, and even ask them, do they believe they're a high performance team? So reinforce to them that, you are striving to be a high performance team, that you are a high performance team, and you work in a high performance company. And, high performance is ultimately a belief and it's an attitude. So reinforce that with your team. The second action I'm going to ask you to do is straight out of the Simon Sinek video that we watched at the start of this session. Ask your team, how are you doing whenever you're walking past them or you meet them? And ask them, is there anything that we can provide you or that you need to do your job better? Again, that will give you such insights and information to ensure that your team has everything it needs to be high performing. So that really brings us to the end of this session on highly effective teams. I hope you really enjoyed it and you have an understanding of the key elements that create high performing teams. And if you'd like to hear more about the Leadership Mindset Program or any of our other programs, then please click the Book a Call button on the page that you're listening to from this session, or email us at info@becomemore.com. We would love to hear from you, and we would love to just have a chat and explore and hear more about what you do, and see if there's anything that we could do to support or help you in any way. So just to give you a little bit more information about how we do add value in our programs, and particularly in the Leadership Mindset Program, we get results. So that's the first key element. We do provide 2 actions with every single lesson that you can take away and implement immediately to get results, to really help you perform at your optimum. The key element is convenience. Look, we deliver our leadership mindset program in 60-minute sessions weekly. So we provide maximum impact in minimum time. So hopefully you've seen from today's session, there's a lot in it and you really do get a lot of value. So we don't believe that you have to spend a day or 2 days at a program on a particular topic. You can get a lot of information in a very concise way, and that's what we've done through our program. So it's 60-minute sessions weekly, which means you can go back to your busy job, but still invest in you and your growth in a convenient way. The content is quality content. Look, I've taken content from a lot of incredible leaders and professionals and brought it together in a really succinct way. We use a lot of video content, as you've seen. We use a lot of questionnaires, assessments. We'll assess you in different leadership capabilities, and we make it really interactive. In our live sessions, we have a lot of breakout rooms as well, and a lot of case studies and elements where you can all hear from each other, talk together, and learn together as well. And that's why networking is a big part of this. You will get to network with like-minded individuals through the program and get to know others on the Leadership Mindset program. Flexibility is an element to our programs as well, because we want you to attend the workshops and sessions live. However, everything is recorded and you have a recording in the client portal. It also means you can go back and rewatch sessions. So, you know, this session today, if you wanted to go back and look at those questions again, you could go back and do that. We have our member portal, our client portal, where all of our lessons, all of our resources that go along with each session. So we have a participants guide, we have all of those questionnaires that we go through in our program as editable PDFs, which you can use, but you can also use with your teams. And they're all in the client portal, along with the community and online community platform where you can interact and talk to each other and send messages and put up content as well. We also focus on mindset, as I've discussed earlier, and we hold you accountable for taking the actions. So every action that we ask you to take at the lessons, we reinforce that in the next lesson, and we also try and make sure that you have taken those actions throughout the program, because we believe that the actions, if you take actions from a program like this, then it's really going to impact you positively. And the most important, I suppose, how we add value point on this screen is we care about what we do. We're so passionate about our content and what we deliver and adding value for our clients that will really come across whenever you attend our programs. And just to give you an idea of the types of topics that we cover, we have a spring intake and an autumn intake. And the spring lessons, they go from March till the end of June, and they cover setting smart goals, purpose, mindsets for success, habits for success, high performance teams, effective communication. We do 2 sessions on Stephen Covey's Habits of Highly Effective People and how to implement them into your personal life and your business. We do 2 sessions on personality profiling, both for you, and then put it into a team environment so you can think about your team and how you all interact together. And those are really fun sessions. And we do a session on effective decision making, how to make effective decisions as a leader. The final session is always review, react, and act, because that's where you come up with your action plan to implement. And we also have 4 mastermind sessions as well added into the mix. And those are topics that are more interactive, where we learn together as a group. The autumn lessons then are a different set of lessons, and we cover leadership mindset, maximizing opportunities. We cover trust, culture, which is so important in every organization, authentic leadership, resilience, managing conflict, how to do that in the right way, discipline and productivity, so how to maximize what you do and the productivity that you have, emotional intelligence, which is cited as one of the most important leadership skills, change management, because we're always changing, so we cover that in detail, and how to effectively manage change, networking, and then again we have review, react, and act, where you have your action plan then to go forward and implement based on all of the teachings that you've learned. We also have another 4 mastermind sessions where, again, it's peer-to-peer group learning around different leadership topics on top of what's on the screen. So our clients absolutely love our programs. You know, what they love about them is the format. They love the 60-minute sessions weekly. They love how the content is delivered. They love the energy we bring to the sessions. And they also love the fact that we give them practical strategies that they can, and tips and actions that they can implement straight away that really has a positive impact. And it is those small incremental changes and improvements that make the massive impact to where we end up in life. So by doing a program like this, you will be able to grow and you'll be able to then consistently improve what you do and get better every step of the way. So these are some of the companies that we're working with and have worked with. So lots of great companies there with, and another thing to mention is that these programs are great for companies who have multiple offices across, different sites, because if you have leaders in lots of different locations, then this program is perfect, because like many of the companies on screen, they have multiple offices in different locations and they could get leaders to attend the program from various locations. So look, we would love to hear from you, and please do get in touch. You can book a call directly with me or one of our team, or you can send us an email at info@becomemore.com. So I would just like to say thank you so much for taking the time to listen to me in this session on high performance teams. I hope you got some great value from it. And I would love to hear from you and hear about what you do. And hopefully we will be able to see you on a program very, very soon. So thank you so much. And I'll stop recording.